Let's keep going.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to do the Angel Monachiel, and the name means peace or calm. So, like the peace of God or God's peace. And when we look at that manifestation in the body, it has to do with, the balance of the nervous system, the regulation of the nervous system. Peace is not just an idea, it's a manifestation in the mind, the emotions, and the body. Not only that, like peace and balance are like a step on the path. It's not like the end goal, it's just a step on the path. It's one of the steps, right? And peace and calm, when cultivated enough, starts to turn into what you would call divine love. And divine love has like a stabilizing effect. It's providence. It's the beginning of what we would call also synchronicity, where things we're drawn to things and things are drawn to us that really don't have a rhyme or reason, but it's tied to this path that we're walking in, our evolution and development. It seems random, but it's a much bigger picture, right? And so without that peace and balance, that next step doesn't happen. And you could say that part of our spiritual growth and spiritual development, our evolution, our ability to experience the higher soul, however you want to say it, right, is tied to this idea of peace and balance. And the byproduct is there's like a balance that comes into our nervous system, especially our involuntary part of our nervous system, where we start to balance these things out and we start to have like kind of a neutral resting state, not being in survival mode and being able to go deeper into repair mode. The manifestation of that in the energy body is the chakras become bigger, they pump more, and the energy in our body circulates more. So this means greater levels of awakening of Kundalini energy, the circulation of that energy, greater levels of sustained awareness, where we're allowing more light to come in and, bringing greater and greater levels of balance to the nervous system. And then we also are experiencing greater levels of oneness between the different aspects of ourselves, oneness with other people, oneness with our higher soul, oneness with God. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Energetically, when there is enough balance, the manifestation is something that happens in the crown. The crown or the top of the head is the entry point of divine energy. So when we sit and we say a prayer or we do some devotional aspect to God or we chant a mantra or whatever we're doing, there is a downpouring of light or there's a downpouring of energy that comes in through the top of the head and begins to impact our mind, begins to impact our emotions, and then impacts the body and begins to reorganize the body. And what reorganization means is it's upgrading the nervous system. It's upgrading how our nerves function and how we interact with the outside world and how we have our resting state and things of this nature. But as we spiritually grow and evolve and we break out of repetition, which is also what we would call karma, right? Karma is just cause and effect. Karma is very much associated with the survival mode of our nervous system, and it's very much associated with intellect. And so for us to break out of this is, for one, we try to shift our thinking. We try to think from a more intuitive place rather than cause and effect, right? We try to see a little bit of a bigger picture. But when we have repeated patterns in our life, part of how we break out of this repetition is through learning a lesson, right? And it doesn't mean punishment. It just means like, oh yeah, I got it. Ah, this is what I'm doing. Ah, this is why it happens. Ah, this is what starts to happen when I engage this pattern. Like, whatever it is, we learned something. It's an aha moment, right? And for us to really truly break out of some repetitive pattern in our lives and to have that aha moment, we have to have kind of neurological awareness, and we have to have like an emotional kind of, like, like the heart activates, like, oh, I got it. I kind of integrated a little bit. And then your mind goes, oh, I see the pattern. Like I see the what I do. I see the way I think. I'm going to think different, or whatever it is. And the last piece is that energy releases from the top of our head and moves up. And 12 inches above our head, there's a point of light that is anchored there. And this is where the incarnated soul anchors, right? So the higher soul invests a piece of itself as the incarnated soul. And that incarnated soul, which is tied to this life, anchors 12 inches above the head. And so there's a little bit of this energy rises up out of the top of the head, and it hits that point of light 12 inches above your head. And as it hits that, it registers as lesson learned. Right. And so then when you have lesson learned, all of a sudden, maybe the lords of karma don't have to hit you over the head with a 2x4. Maybe they don't keep knocking your feet out of from under you so that you get whatever the lesson is. And so it's a way of breaking out of these patterns that, to the life that we have here, a lot of times they don't make a lot of sense. We suffer through them or we deal with them, but you know, if we sit and we examine our life and we go, how did this get started? Why is this happening? A lot of times we can go, this is when it kind of started, but I don't know what got it going. I don't know what generated that momentum. And so a lot of times these are things that we came in with or that are just ingrained in us, or they could even be something that maybe came down through generations within a family, right? And so it doesn't matter how they got there. You just go through and you start doing your process, right? So this angel can help, but if we do techniques that can help facilitate this, it becomes easier and easier, right? And so sometimes some of these patterns that we do with the angels, it's a lot like being in a snowstorm. You're out camping and you get in your tent and there's a big giant snowstorm and there's a couple feet of snow that comes, and then you got to get up and you're like, okay, I gotta walk across this meadow and got to get to my car, or whatever it is. And that first time through, you're trudging through that thick snow, like, step after step. And it's like, oh, this is kind of hard, and you get over to your car and then you're like, I forgot my tent. So, but then you walk back and you've already laid a trail. You know what I mean? So the walk back is not quite as hard as it was the first time. And then you get your tent and you walk back to the car, and as you're walking back to the car, that path is even easier the next time. Still might be a little cold, but you're not trudging through the snow like you did the first time. You know where to go, it's already happening. You could not be thinking about every step as you go along the way because the path has been laid out for you, right? It becomes easier to go back and forth between your tent and your car, right? And so when we do some of these processes, it's a lot like that snowstorm. The first couple of times you do it, it might be a little hard. But then after a while, you've established this pattern in your energy body. You've established this pattern in your nervous system. And so instead of having these sets of reflexes that happen every time you engage a certain situation or we engage the outside world and we have these reflex responses, we start to lay these new patterns that now there gets to be a different outcome. There gets to be something different happening. It doesn't always have to be that same old thing that happens over and over again, right? Because we're establishing this new path. We're giving ourselves an opportunity to have something different happen, right? And so invoking this angel helps with that. Working a pattern helps even more. And I was thinking about this earlier today and I was like, well, we could just do a pattern or we can make it juicy and do it, you know, it's Tuesday night. We might as well make it juicy, right? So we already do something like this in Astara. And the idea of the blossoming lotus, like when we do the lotus meditation, we do the rose meditation, we're activating the heart, and it's the transmutation of elements and things like this. But when we do the lotus meditation, your awareness is on your crown. And if you think about it, there's like 4 stages of it. There's the bud of the lotus underwater in the mud, right? Then that bud rises up out of the mud and moves through the water. Then the bud surfaces and begins to open up. And then the lotus is in full bloom, right? And it's a very nice visual. It's you're just observing something that happens in nature, right? But what's happening is anytime you use imagery, you're engaging the intuitive part of your mind, which is the intuitional learning aspect of your mind. And the intuitive part of your mind is how you adjust and adapt to these internal patterns. Not just the internal patterns of the things that we came in with, but as you spiritually grow and evolve, if you leave it up to your intellect is going to go, I don't know about that, and give it the no and the thumbs down and go, that's not what we do. That's not how we roll around here, right? You have to be able to engage this intuitional part of your mind so that it can take in these new pieces of information and then adjust and adapt, right? And so part of what happens as you're learning your lesson is you are making these internal shifts and you're not changing and becoming something different. You're waking up or becoming aware of pieces of yourself that were always there, but maybe we didn't have awareness of them. So another way of saying that is you're transcending your normal everyday thinking and you're starting to embrace thinking that happens outside the intellect, which means you're starting to engage the part of the mind associated with the soul, right? And to an even bigger level is you're transcending those repetitive patterns that we get stuck in and we move past it. We get out of it and we start to look kind of at it, but from an outside perspective rather than being weighed down and it being in our face. And as we start to do that, we we break out of patterns of our suffering, on whatever level that it is. And so when we want to engage this part of the mind, we don't do it with facts and we don't do it with details. We do it with imagery. We do it with metaphor, right? And so when you sit and observe this lotus going through its 4 stages, part of what's happening is on an intuitional level, you're learning how to do something, right? You're training your energy body, you're training your nervous system to go, hey, that's what we want to do. We want to take all this crap that's happening here and we want to move it up there. So there's some part of us that goes, hey, lesson learned. Stop hitting me over the head with the 2x4. I got it. Lesson learned. Please stop. Right. And so when you do those 4 steps of the lotus meditation, it's like setting that pattern in the snow. Like you're going back and forth and you're establishing this pattern so that you don't have to sit and go, "Ugh, I'm going to push energy up to the top of my head and then out to the point 12 inches above my head." It just starts happening. You don't have to think about it. We kind of activate the heart and we have reflection, we have a little bit of realization, and it just goes pop and moves up. So really, when we do the lotus meditation, is you're training the mind, the nervous system, the body, your energy body, how to have peace and balance and to move that up. And when the energy moves from the top of your head up to that point, right there in that movement from the top of your head to 12 inches above your head, you're starting to engage divine love. Like if that doesn't happen, you're not going to experience it. It has to move from the head to the 12 inches above your head. And then you're starting to open up the pathway for providence, for stability, right? For synchronicity, for things to start working out. Even if it starts bad and we can maintain our balance, it produces goodness, even in the face of something that might be dark or bad, right? We just have to keep our wits about us, right? And so we're going to practice this tonight, right? So we're going to do it in levels, we're going to do it in stages. And in the last part, we're going to invoke the name Monachiel. So before we get doing the lotus meditation, a little bit deeper than what we usually do on the streams with Astara, we are going to first just do the name Monachiel by itself, right? And then we'll keep going deeper and deeper. Okay, so close your eyes. So you're just going to silently repeat this in your mind, or you can just hear my voice and keep your awareness on your brain. Either way, your awareness is on your brain. And if you want to repeat with me, it's going to be Mo Na Kai El. Mo Na Kai El. Mo Na Kai El. Mo No Kai El. Mo No No. Notice how you feel. So, first, we're going to do a meditation on the lotus with our awareness just on the top of our head, the crown. So, close your eyes. Your awareness is on the top of your head, the crown. And with your awareness on the top of your head, visualize the bud of a lotus underwater, deep within the mud. Now, see the bud of the lotus rising up out of the mud and moving through the water. It's moving up out of the mud and moving through the water. Now it's surfacing, it's rising up out of the water, and it's beginning to bloom. It's starting to open up. See it begin to blossom. See it in full bloom. It's completely open. You're holding the image of a lotus in your mind. Your awareness is on this lotus that's in full bloom. Mo no kai eo Okay, just let that go for a moment. Let's start to use the oil. So why don't you open up your bottle and just start inhaling. And as you inhale, your awareness is on your brain. Your awareness is on your brain. And then just pause and be still for a moment. Just let it go. Now we're going to do the four stages of the lotus, right? But I've done it both ways. I've inhaled the oil on each of the four stages, but I'd say the magic happens when you do it on the last step. So you can do it every step of the way if you want, but I would say do the visualization and then at the end, inhale the oil, right? And then we'll do a stronger version of this. It's good to practice this a little bit because this practice goes deeper and deeper. This practice will also bring balance and stillness to the body, but then it even takes it a step further. So have the oil ready, but you're not inhaling it right now, right? So your awareness is on the top of your head. With your awareness on top of your head, visualize the bud of a lotus underwater in the mud. Hold that visualization. Now, see that bud move out of the mud and start ascending through the water. It's just moving up. Okay, let that imagery go. Now you're seeing the bud of the lotus surface out of the water and begin to blossom. So it's coming up and it's starting to open a little bit. Now see the lotus fully open up and see it in full bloom. And with that image of the lotus in full bloom, begin inhaling the oil. Inhale the oil while you maintain your awareness on the image of the lotus. And then pause, let it go. And just let it go. Just let everything go. Like, notice how your body feels, your emotions, your thoughts. So, like I said, there is a stronger version of this, but you can already see this version's pretty potent all by itself, right? And so, maybe for a while, if you're going to do this practice, in a way, you could do it with any angel, of course, but this one especially, uh, it's a good practice. So we're going to do it again because just like we walk from the tent to the car through the snow, the more we establish that path in the snow, it becomes easier and easier. And we want it to become like kind of just automatic where we don't even have to think about it. It's just like, you know, I used to live in a place in California where my my office and my house were on basically the same street, but they were like 4 or 5 miles apart. So I would just get on the road, I'd walk out the front door, get on the road, drive down, and then make a little turn, and I was in my parking lot. And the problem would be that sometimes when I'd get out and I'd like, okay, I'm gonna go run some errands, and I'd start on that road, the next thing I'd know, I'd be at my office. And really, I was wanting to go to the hardware store, or I was wanting to go to the grocery store, or, I wanted to do something. But, just it became so ingrained and so automatic that I just, I'd be driving, I wasn't thinking. Next thing I know, I'd pull into my office and I was like, how did I get here? And I remember sitting in the parking lot one day and going, if only my spiritual growth and healing could be like this, to where I just started something and it just went bloop and just happened, you know. And so the more that we do this kind of repetitive like practice like this, your mind is still, as much as we step away from repetition, it's still going to do repetition. So let's have the repetition work for us instead of against us, right? So we give it something to repeat, right? We're never going to be able to stop the repetition itself, but we can say, well, if you're going to repeat something, repeat this, you know. So again, you have your oil ready, and you can breathe all the way through this, or you can just wait till the end. So you're visualizing the bud of a lotus underwater in the mud. Now, the image of the bud moving up through the water. It's beginning to surface and beginning to blossom. See the lotus in full bloom. And with it in full bloom, you're inhaling the oil. You're meditating on the lotus while you inhale the oil. Nice, long, slow, deep breath. And then pause and be still. Before we do the next version, let's go ahead and do shares and questions. You can unmute yourself and type in. Let's see how you did. Let's see how you feel.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
A really soothing. That was super smooth, super smooth. I had a question with the when doing the visualization for the bud coming out of the mud. Do you
Mhm.
visualize that all on the crown, or are you going from the crown to the 12th chakra up?
No, you're just visualizing all of it with your awareness on your crown. We are
Oh,
going to do a version of it where there's movement, but you just start holding the image.
right. You
And
just
the
hold it.
image is like stimulating the intuitive mind and the
All
movement
right.
in the energy body.
Oh,
But the next version is we're going to move it through the energy body. Yeah.
okay. Right. Okay.
And even then, you just get to the crown. It's not so much about using your awareness to go up. You're
Right.
trying to open up the crown and stimulate the crown to go like
To
up
just
towards the,
right.
yeah,
And it's going to do it by itself kind of thing.
right,
We're
right,
not helping it along, or we're not
right.
part of that visualization
No.
piece. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
That was a great question.
Mhm.
That was, yeah, clarifying. Someone is shared. I was picturing the lotus coming up out of my brain. Was that not right?
Just hold the image in the brain. Yeah, that's all, like just on the crown. That's all you really got to do. Like you don't need to, we are going to do a version with movement, but right now you're just holding the image in the brain.
Yeah, I'm glad you're going to keep kind of practicing.
Yeah, I think we'll practice this version again a couple of times and then do the.
And I liked the toning first.
Mhm,
Like it kind of set the stage.
mhm.
The person who shared that they were picturing the lotus coming up out of the brain said my headache went away with that
Oh,
though.
good. There you go.
Sorry, just to jump right in. Um, is there a color associated with Monachiel?
The color. I mean, it would depend on what's happening in the body. I would think a lot of times you're probably in the initial stages might see like some form of violet. And
Okay.
then as the body like balances, I don't know why I did that. International site for balance. As the body balances the electric or like the color or the energies with consciousness would come in, you know. So it would depend on where you're at. Like there's been times where I've done this and let's just say I was having a stressful time and it wasn't even violet at first, it was like kind of greens and blues and then eventually the violet came around and then eventually like the higher energies came in. And so it just kind of, where you're at and what you need is what it will do. And then, from there, it starts going into the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see a color or?
Well, when I first started, I wasn't sure. I mean, I did a little bit of just I read through the angel chapter, before the
Mhm.
class, right? And I
Mhm.
just did a little bit. So I kind of saw an opening up of a red sort of coming in. So I
Yeah,
did,
that's physicalized spiritual energy. It goes from electric to gold to then eventually red. And sometimes even for us to have like some sort of balance in the body, like sometimes it might be that body processes need to get stimulated.
right,
Like not like caffeine stimulated, but just like they need to be jump started and
aligned kind of thing,
yeah, like sometimes the
synchronized
body
maybe.
needs a little bit of come on, get going, come on, snap, snap, right? And so part of like when red's in the body is it also is tied with like the movement and circulation in the body. So if there's areas in the body that are real stagnant, then the red is necessary to like jumpstart and get things moving. Yeah.
Someone shared, I see the lotus stages in front of me, then inside a bulging ball of light with me inside.
Hmm. Yeah, very nice. Yeah. If an image arises, I just observe it. Yeah, that's a good thing. Very interesting little visual.
What oils are in Monachiel?
Let's look it up. Monachiel is hinoki, myrrh, milfoil, dark patchouli, and benzoin.
Very yummy.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Very. Yeah, great shares, guys. Thanks for that.
Okay, so we're going to do a stronger version of it, but let's still practice this one because this one's kind of the bread and butter version that you'll do for a while. Somebody
Denise,
else?
did you have a share?
Hmm?
Maybe it was an accident.
Sorry, Sam. This phone is more advanced than I am. I'm sorry. I didn't realize it can just kind of take off. I was so sorry.
No problem. No problem. I think we're ready to go to the next stage.
Okay, so let's practice this one again. So again, let's just start with doing some nice, long, slow, deep breaths with the oil. Your awareness is on your brain. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Awareness is on your brain. And then just pause and be still for a moment. Again, your awareness is on your brain. You're just taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths while you keep your awareness on your brain. You're inhaling the oil with your awareness on your brain. And then just let it go. Your awareness is on the very top of your head, the very tip top of your head. You're not inhaling. Your awareness is just on top of your head. Visualize the bud of a lotus underwater, deep within the mud. Into moving up out of the mud and through the water. It's beginning to surface and blossom. And then it's in full bloom. Your awareness is on the lotus, and inhale the oil, both at the same time. And then just let go. So train you. How about you? How's that treat you? Good. Yeah. Okay. So the thing that I would say is, especially with the oil or using the name, the one that you want to do often would be what we just did. Your awareness is on your crown, the top of your head. You visualize the four stages. You don't necessarily visualize, moving your awareness. You just keep your awareness on your crown and do the four stages. Now, these four stages are about how light comes into the body. They're like a metaphor, like a metaphorical, like map for light to get into the body. Like when light comes into the body, it always comes in four phases, right? And so you're just helping to establish that pathway so that the light can come in. And then when the light comes in, it then has a corresponding movement up. I really wouldn't do variations like when you're doing the crown. We have inclinations of, and I've tried all of these, like how Dan said, like, oh, I'll move my awareness up, or I'll do this in the brain, or it still works. It's really about more the stillness and the awareness than it is about like trying to make something happen, right? Like in that awareness, your intuition is getting activated. Your intuition will kind of take it and run with it. Even when we're uh, I did this for probably a decade where I was like, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to make that happen. And that's still like the intellectual mind, trying to do something. And really what you're trying to do is go, okay, intellectual mind, go sit on the bench for a while. Okay, intuitional mind. Okay, go get them. Right? You're really trying to use a different part of your mind. And so I wouldn't even say that this is like a simple technique. It is a technique that begins to impact the thalamus, right? And you're beginning to open up like a doorway, right? A doorway into the intuitive mind. We don't just like switch over to intuition. It's like we kind of have to go, excuse me, is intuition home? Can it come out and play? Like I want it to, come out and play. And, at some point that door opens and intuition like engages, right? Even when we have a certain level of intuition, we need it to be more, right? And so you're really trying to train the intuitional mind to do something, right? So it's not about like moving it here or there or wherever. Now, once the intuitional mind goes, oh, I see, and like takes it and runs with it, you can do a thing where you move it through the energy body, right? And so we're going to do it first with like no oils for the steps until that last piece, just like how we got to the lotus in bloom. We meditate on that and then we inhale just at the very end. Okay. So even within this version, there's still an even stronger version. But for now, let's just do this version, right? The two things that are being taught right now are pretty potent. Get used to them, and then we can do, at some point the next version, right? And again, you'll recognize this. This is something that has been happening for a while. It's just not with the visualization, right? So your awareness is going to be on your feet, the soles of your feet. And with your awareness on the soles of your feet, in your mind, you're holding the image of the bud of a lotus underwater, deep within the mud. Now, move your awareness to your low back, the backside of your navel. And with your awareness on the backside of your navel, see the lotus rising up out of the mud and moving through the water. Now, move your awareness to that area between your shoulder blades, the back heart. See the lotus surfacing and beginning to blossom. Your awareness is on top of your head. See the lotus in full bloom. With your awareness on your crown and the visual of the lotus in full bloom, inhale the oil. And then just let go. Okay. Let's talk about this for a moment. So there's a pattern that if you've been doing some of the classes with us, it's a pattern that you recognize. Sometimes there's variations of it, but it's a pattern that you recognize. So if we look at these four aspects of the lotus, in the mud, rising up, beginning like surfacing and beginning to blossom, and then in full bloom, right? So when we talk about like our survival drives or the difficulties that we have in our life, the patterns that we have, they're not just in our mind, they're not just in our emotions, and sometimes they're not just in our nervous system, they're actually below our feet, right? There's like information or like a connection that has been accumulated over a period of time below our feet. And when we cultivate light and healing, we release light out through the bottom of our feet, and it diminishes some of the tendencies that have accumulated under our feet. And when we have like our negative experiences or negative patterns, strong emotions, and repetitive thoughts, we also release that out. And it mixes like with the ground that we're standing on, right? So to speak, right? It's not literally like the ground, but it's just under your feet, right? And so in mystical practices, the things that, be it good or bad, that we kind of cultivate, or the things that we do in our life, right? But the key word there, I think, is cultivate. Be it that we choose it or not, that we're just reacting, doesn't matter. All of this accumulates under our feet, right? So in mystical practices, this is referred to as the mud, right? We're trying to rise up out of the mud. We're trying to rise up out of those old patterns, those things that we need to learn, or those things of stop hitting me over the head with a 2x4, Lords of Karma. Like, I get it, right? We're needing to break out of that pattern. Be it that it's from this life, past, whatever it is, let's just say that it's there, right? Now, the movement from the mud and through the water, right, is tied to the awakening of Kundalini and it beginning to rise, right? So here we go to the low back area, the backside of the navel. This area is known as the Meng Men, right? And its job is to raise the vibration of the body. But what it does is it takes lower vibrational energy and then it shoots it up, right? So basically, it's transmuting the things in the body, it's transmuting the imbalances in the nervous system, it's transmuting negative tendencies that are in our physiology, mostly like our instinctive responses or our reflexes, right? Somebody comes at you and you have this reflex, and then afterwards you go, oh, what just happened there, right? So it has a transmuting effect. It diminishes that. It raises the vibration. It calms it down, right? And so this center is tied to the Kundalini moving up, right? Then it hits the back heart. And here, the emotions that have been stirred by being in fight flight, the anger, the fear, the anxiety, whatever it is, when it hits the back heart, it begins to transmute, right? It begins to transmute, and we're raising up out of our lower emotion, and we're beginning to experience like higher emotion. Like you're starting to go, okay, well, I'm feeling compassion, I'm feeling patience, I'm feeling tolerance, I'm overcoming some sort of internal obstacle, whatever it is, right? It's starting to clean things up. It's taking the lower emotion that was generated in the mud and then got transmuted in the body, and it takes and starts transmuting that emotion. Now, for the crown to be activated, energy has to move from the heart to the crown. If we just try to stimulate the crown, it'll activate a little bit, but as soon as we take our attention away, it'll snap right back, right? For it to activate, we have to first activate the heart, and then we move the heart energy up. Now, how the heart energy moves up, it's not from the front, it's actually from the back. It goes up and it hits these little energetic vessels at the base of your skull, right? Right by the medulla and that little area, right? And so what happens is, this is why vagal tone is so important, because that's where the vagal tone is the mothership for vagal tone, you could say. So from the back heart, the energy starts rising up, right? The kundalini, the light starts rising up, and then it hits the brain. And when heart energy hits the brain, uh, the the crown begins to activate. The crown begins to open. So there can be a downpour, but there also can be an upward movement. And when the crown opens up, it starts spinning. It becomes the lotus in bloom. It starts spinning and spinning. And when it's spinning, it takes light and steps it down so that the body can use it, but it also takes the blockages that's in our body and it raises the vibration and shoots them up, right? And as it shoots up those blockages, it reaches up as it moves up to that point of light at the 12 inches above your head. It's converted to light and it hits the light, or it hits the point of light as lesson learned, right? So it goes from the mud up, 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 and so this isn't something that we're trying to stimulate through a technique. This isn't something that we're trying to make our like the technique to go through and do this. We're trying to get this to be ingrained in your energy body. We're trying to teach the energy body, this is what I want to happen. I want this to be uh, uh, and then so this is also the pattern for transmutation. And another way of saying transmutation can also be forgiveness. You know, as you go through and you work the area from the low back to the back heart to the crown, you start to disentangle from the people, the difficulties, the conflicts, whatever it is, you start to disentangle and you just start going, let's just let it go. Like, I don't feel the need to play this out or work this out or just, and so forgiveness is not like necessarily like going, oh, I'm so sorry. It's the transmutation of the things, the negativity that has put us in survival mode, and transmutes it and go, survival mode is not who I am. It's not my true nature. It's just what the body has to do to survive out there, but it's not who I am. I'm not the survival mode. So you let go of survival mode and you go into, yeah, I'm this other thing. I'm this essence. I'm this soul. I'm this thing that heals and is intuitive and learns and grows and whatever it might be. So by going through and doing the visualization, you're training the energy body, you're training the intuitive mind to like engage this process, right? So it's not really a technique, it's more of a dance. And the more you learn the moves of the dance, the better dancer you become. And you just, when the music hits you, you start dancing. You know, that's what we're shooting for. Yeah. So we have a little bit of time. We'll probably do it again, but let's do shares and questions. You can unmute yourself. You could type in.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Hey.
Hey, this is like brilliant, Greg. This is like,
Oh, please don't think it's all my idea. It's not. I'm just repeating some deep teaching. I'm not going, So thank you for that, but I'm just a mouthpiece. Yeah.
well,
But I agree. The teacher is brilliant. It's
the
just it's
teacher,
not me. That's the
what a,
teacher.
oh my goodness, what a share. Um,
Yeah.
this just made so much intuitive sense to me.
Mhm.
Um, just in a level I can't quite vocalize at this point. But one thing,
So like that right there, like deeper truths, like you really can't put them to words.
yeah,
Like you know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
you know it, you're aware of it, but like when you start to explain it, it starts to be like fractured pieces of whatever it is. You know what I mean?
right, yeah, like
And
splinters of
so
something,
yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
love that it's like beyond words.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I've learned about myself through my practice is that I have this chime, or kind of like when you get goose flesh, you
Mhm.
kind of get that feeling all over, and I've been able to I feel it most when I have a connection with the divine, or like a higher
Sure.
intelligence kind of thing.
Mhm.
And actually, when we got to the back heart, I felt the same kind of thing, but in a totally different way. It's like
Well,
yeah, it was just like an incredible, it was similar but different, but I never felt that kind of feeling before. So this is definitely
thanks.
a kind of a validation, I think, in a way,
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Uh, Thank you.
good. Yeah, I'm glad you're having a good
Thanks to all
experience.
the higher beings that are here. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Ralph.
Hey, Rob.
Hey Greg, um, can we use this same process with other angels, or
Yeah.
is this one specific?
No, I mean, this one has a special affinity for this, but you could use it for any angel.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
If you kind of remember when we were doing, and we'll do it again, but when we were doing the universal angelic process,
Mm-hmm.
there was the point of like kind of shooting the energy out the top of your head.
Yes.
It like the reason why we did that for a while, it was to get the intellectual mind like to have some experience to where when we went into like a deeper intuitive version of that, intellect could go, yeah, I've heard of this. Like, I've had an experience of this before.
Right, right.
It's not like, because if the mind has never had, the intellect, if it's never had an experience of it, it usually will shut it down. So like if I use my intellect as a template, I give it really hard, difficult things that it has to struggle with, so that at some point it just goes, ugh, I give up. And then you can let it do like this other thing, and then it goes, hey, this is the easier way to do it. And you know, you can do it that way with where you visualize and you push it up, but it takes a lot of focus to be able to do that, and you really have to like be still to really like push it up, and it works. It's just that it's like trying to push a snowball up a hill. Like, it's like, it works, but so much easier just to go to the top of the hill and build a snowball. Like, you
Yes.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just so much easier. But like, you know, it's good to have both experiences. Like having having the where you try to really push it and you can see the value of it, and you are increasing and improving the ability. But then when like a more intuitive way comes along, your mind will just like adapt. Like if you kind of don't do that and you do it, it will get it, but it gets it better. Like if you struggled with it for a while.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I noticed that. So this seems to be connected to the three brains concept.
Yeah, three brains helps open up the pathway. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And you started on the Ming Men, and my immediate thought was, well, if we're starting in the mud, probably we should be starting at the basic, which is like the root of
So
the root
we
of the
started we
actual
start at the
physical
feet.
body instinctive.
Like we started at the feet, and then we went up and did then the Ming Men, the back heart, and the crown.
Oh, I
Um,
slept through that piece.
oh,
Sorry.
so the stronger version is not doing the feet, but going to the basic
Yeah.
and then going up. But I would say like wait a little bit to do that. It's
Okay.
it's it's strong, and you want to kind of get the energy body used to moving the energy up from the feet before you just start focusing on the basic.
Okay.
But it's the same technique. Basic, then Ming Men, then back heart, then crown. Same
Yeah.
same exact thing.
Good. Okay. Thanks.
And I just want to say, yeah, every time we do anything on the soles and the feet stuff, I actually feel like I expand.
Hmm.
I just feel like, whoa,
Hmm.
like that's like tap something.
Hmm.
Somebody shared, been waiting for this. Now I can really feel the energy.
Oh, good.
Good shares and
Okay.
questions, guys.
Okay. So we have time. So let's do it one more time. We'll do the advanced version. So let's start with just tapping into the angel. So you're inhaling the oil with your awareness on your brain. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Your awareness is on your brain. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Okay, and then let it go. You're just letting it go. Okay, so your awareness, you're not in healing now. Your awareness is on the soles of your feet. Now, with your awareness on the soles of your feet, you're visualizing the bud of a lotus underwater in the mud. Now move your awareness to the low back, the backside of the navel. See the lotus moving through the water. Your awareness is on the back heart, that area between your shoulder blades. See the lotus beginning to surface and beginning to blossom. Your awareness is on top of your head. The lotus is in full bloom. And with your awareness on top of your head, visualizing the lotus in full bloom, inhale the oil. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. You're just letting go of everything. Your eyes are closed, just let go. Feels nice, huh? Yeah. So that's the thing we get from working with Monachiel. I'd say if you want to do the advanced version, maybe once a week. But if you want to do the other version, you could do it multiple times in a week where you just focus on the crown. Eventually you could do it more often, but anyway. So next week is non-gar-IL, right? Non-gar-IL. So we'll have another one, and that one I think some of you are already familiar with. It was in a class at one point, but we're going to slip over to the Tuesday night prayer petition blessing. Some of what we just did might be in the practice and process over in the prayer petition blessing. So maybe join us if you feel up to it. And yeah, I think tomorrow night we do a deeper dive with, I think with the properties of Violet Healer. And, there's a list of single oils you can draw upon. So maybe join us if you can. And tomorrow night in the Astara sessions, we'll be doing Monachiel, some different things with Monachiel. So hopefully you can join us. Take care, you guys.